Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we are looking at my drawing of Reggie here. This is Reggie Mantle, Archie's rival from the Archie comic books, and I guess he's on that Riverdale show as well. If you've seen part one of this video, you saw me pencil Reggie. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink him. And he shouldn't take very long. He's a pretty easy character to ink, even though he has all that black hair. If you did not see part one, I'm going to be linking to it in the description below. So please check that out, either before or after you watch this one. So let's get right to it. Okay. So we've got Reggie. He is drawn in pencil. He's on nice Bristol paper, which is a nice heavy paper that could take the ink. I have my my Pentel Brush Pen. Okay. There is the brush pen. As I've said before, has this nice body of a brush. The body of a pen, which gives me a lot of nice control, and of course it's got that nice flexible tip of a brush. And this pen, as I've shown before, has this refillable cartridge. So this cartridge, you could actually just pop this out and fill it up with whatever ink you want, or you can buy other cartridges if you like the ink that comes in it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here and I'm going to draw these lines with my ink. The Archie characters, because they're so cartoony, they do lend themselves to this heavier line, so I do use a thicker line on them than I do when, for example, I'm inking, say this guy. And this is Cosmic Boy from the Legion of Superheroes, and this is another piece. This one I did just for fun, just for myself. But you can see I use a finer line. If you look at his outlines, it's a thinner line than I'm giving Reggie here. With Reggie, I could get nice and thick. And it's because Reggie is more of a cartoonier character who lends himself to this sort of thick line. Now you may be wondering, well, how do you go thick to thin? And really, the bulk of that is just in the pressure of your hand. So, for example, if you want to keep things thin, like say for right around his eye here, I'm just barely touching the paper. Okay, go around, just barely touch, barely touch. But if you want to get thicker, for example, the eyebrows, I'm pressing down more. So you press down, and I don't want it to sound like that's a very easy thing to do. It's not super hard, but it's also, you know, if you try it your first few times, you may be frustrated with your results. It's something that just takes practice, and really, I think 90%, and any inker will tell you this, 90% of the inking battle comes with practice. Just sitting down and inking and inking and inking over and over again. When I was a student at the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art in Dover, New Jersey, which is where I teach, by the way, currently. But when I was a student there, because I did attend there as well, one of my teachers was Kim DeMulder, the great Kim DeMulder, who still teaches at the school. And Kim taught us a class called Methods and Materials, which is where we learned how to use all these different art tools. You know, the pen, the brush, everything, all this stuff that you see. And one of Kim's regular assignments was that we fill up a page with line. Just draw lines over and over. We would just draw straight lines. And what that was intended to do was to just force us to practice. And it wasn't anything you had to really think about a lot. I mean, you could just sit in front of the TV with your brush. Back then we didn't really use brush pens that often. It was actually a real brush that we were using. So we would sit down with our brush, you know, if we were watching TV, whatever we're doing, and just fill up a page. Now I'm using this Pilot Pocket Brush Pen, which you could find on Amazon. And these are cheap. They're about $5 and change to $6. And these are not refillable, so they are disposable. Once they run out of ink, you just have to chuck them. But their point is a little bit harder than the Pentel Brush Pen. So because it's a little bit harder, it gives me a little more control. So I use it for more of the finer details, like you just saw me use on Reggie's nose there, a little bit on his mouth. Tighten up these lines. Okay, now let me go back to the brush pen, and what I'm going to do is ink the rest of him. His shirt collar. And notice whenever I'm making a line, I like to pull the brush pen towards me. We have pushers and we have pullers, and I am a puller. I just find that pulling gives me more control. Some people push their tools, but I find that if I just drag it, I can get a lot more control than if I push it. Okay, so it's almost inked. Now, a lot of what's left is just his hair, and his hair is just black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my big fat Faber-Castell brush pen. And this is almost like a big black marker. Okay, you've got, I'm not crazy about the ink in this, but it just lets me cover a lot of ground quickly. So, you know, when you're what we call in the trade spotting blacks, which is filling in these large areas of black. When you're doing this, you know, you don't really need a lot of finesse, the best tools, the best ink. And I'm not a big fan of the ink that comes in here either. It's a little too magic marker for me. But it's black enough where it will print very black. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over now to my finer brush pen, back to my finer brush pen, and I just want to hit up the little details here. Clean up his sideburn. Clean up these little highlight shapes and that little strand of hair that sticks up on him. And then we have this little highlight shape. that's good enough. And now I just want to give his hair just a little bit more of a cleaner shape. Always got to be careful where you plant the heel of your hand. You don't want to smear or smudge a line that is still wet. And that's why I try as much as possible to work from upper left down to lower right. And that's just to keep things nice and clean. Okay, so that is Reggie. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Reggie dry. I'm going to let him sit and I'm going to let him dry. And once he's dry, I can erase the pencil lines. And maybe tomorrow I will show you how I color Reggie. So, and as I said in part one, I do want to start with the lessons on drawing hands. And I'm thinking that might actually take more than one video. I may have to break that up into 2 parts. But we'll see how it goes. So that's Reggie. Once again, if you have any questions, comments, please post them in the comments section below, and I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.